welcome to Lead Information Night. And I am Stephanie Rothstein. I am one of the co-chairs of this pathway along with Rachel Peters. We're so happy to have you. And we'll start with a video that was made by some of our very own students before we launch into telling you a little bit more about our pathway and having a student panel. So take it away, Ben, whenever you're ready.
What does it mean to be a lead student?
What is it? I think to be a lead student, it's more than just like grades.
Comfortable talking with one another and communicating.
Leadership.
Problem solvers.
Developing your way of learning.
Share each other's ideas.
Talking to new people.
Pushing the boundaries of what can be done.
You build upon others and yourself.
Learning how to work with people.
It's learning to think outside the box.
I'm hyped. Let's go.
School is often very constructed and everyone does everything the same way, and LEAD was an opportunity to think and do things and learn differently. And I think overall, when I go out into the workforce, I'm gonna have a lot of skill sets that a lot of people were never able to gain or have access to at a young age.
I've been in the same classes with the kids almost my whole high school life, so I kind of get to know them a little bit more in depth.
LEAD has taught me how to seek out group work and how to find my abilities in using that in college. The ability I had to work with my teachers more closely than any other classroom that I had outside of LEAD.
I think I've built a lot of my relationships off other students in LEAD, and I think I've built good relationships that help me in like times that I need help, and I help others when they need help.
We're team focused, and I think that really helps when we're doing group projects is like we're all in this together and we're all gonna try and like help each other out.
Lead students are students that want to take control of their own learning and that they have their own passion and their own interests, and they don't want to learn in the cookie cutter way. They want to be able to define for themselves what's important.
I think the most useful thing I learned was leadership. And to know how to do that in a productive and effective way is really important.
Public speaking aspect, get more comfortable speaking in front of people.
I think I got better at presenting.
Public speaking and speaking in front of other people.
Freshman year, we did a service learning project, and we got to go to like a shelter in San Jose, and we got to volunteer there and go there during English class, and it was a really cool experience.
I end the first semester and I have students do a project where they interview a person of inspiration, and I connect it to StoryCorps, which is an NPR radio show. I had a student a few years ago who interviewed her grandfather who was over 100 years old, and she actually went to San Francisco and interviewed him in the StoryCorps recording booth that would be held in the Library of Congress forever.
It was project-based learning, and that's how I learned best. I also liked that it was going to be more hands-on and less textbooky.
You know, be willing to go outside of your comfort zone, do more projects.
As a senior and looking back at my high school career, I have some of my best memories in this program that I know a lot of kids didn't get, and I think that's really special.
Classes with familiar faces that you'll see every day is just like the most comforting thing. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
I don't know, LEAD is just like family. I think it's a family. It's your family you choose.
Oh, I get a little misty every time I see it. And we have one of the students in the video here with us tonight as well. So we're super excited to say once again an official welcome. I am Stephanie Rothstein, and I am so happy to pass this on to introduce Rachel Peters, the co-chair of the LEAD Pathway, who will go through this slide for you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Peters, and as Mrs. Rothstein mentioned, I am the co-chair of this pathway, and I am also a physics teacher within the pathway. So tonight, you've gotten a little bit of an introduction to, from a student perspective, about what LEAD is all about. We'll go more in depth, especially in terms of what your students are going to experience at the 9th grade level, and then we're going to build on it and talk about after ninth grade, what happens next, because we are a 4-year pathway. Following that, we have some awesome students here who are going to talk about not only why they've chosen the LEAD pathway, what some of their favorite projects and memories are, et cetera, and they can really give you another firsthand testament to why this is such a powerful program. And then finally, we'll talk about the application process and a small Q&A session. Of course, you can always use the Q&A in the Zoom toolbar. There's a Q&A down there. If you have questions that you'd like answered immediately, you can use that function as well. So I'm going to turn it back to Mrs. Rothstein and Ms. Chick Hughes, who are going to talk especially about the ninth grade level and the pathway overview. So back to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next slide, Ben. Thank you. So if we normally when we are giving you this presentation, we get to welcome you and show you our building. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of where we are on campus. Our current ninth grade students obviously haven't been there this year, but I am proud to say that we have still built a really strong community despite not being together physically in person. But when we are, it is really a beautiful thing. We are housed in the newest building on campus, at least for our English and history classes, and our science classes are in the beautiful science building. So you can't really go wrong. One of the things that I absolutely love, if you notice in these pictures, is that center space in the building becomes a real hub. So you have the classrooms to the side, and up above, it's a 2-level building. And then you'll see groups everywhere. In some of our pictures as we move ahead, you'll see groups kind of like a cafe as people are working on different things. Everyone's working on different projects. And as students talked about that collaborative feel. So normally on the next slide, what you will see is all of people coming in. This is what it was last year at our info night. And we would normally try to move you into different spaces to feel what it feels like in our classrooms and have students talk to you. So we'll give you the best of, we have students that will be talking to you today. If you can see in the picture that's on the left, I'm standing on a table with my arms in the air trying to help direct all of the people. And we are so grateful that there is a lot of interest and joy associated with our pathway. It has been one that has grown and grown and grown. And I'm proud to say that we've continued to listen to student voice and choice for all of the pieces that we have in our pathway. And it really is something that I think both staff and students are proud to be a part of. So I'm excited to tell you a little bit more as we move through to the next slide. So with that, we have our awesome student leaders that will be here today. We call them leaders for being part of LEAD. And so our student leaders that are here are going to be presenting with you. And so they will be greeting you. I just wanted to pay homage to them and to ours of the past. Next slide, Ben. And as we take you through, so really what is LEAD? So LEAD, if you are not familiar, LEAD stands for Learn, Explore, Act, Design. And design is actually, it means like design thinking principles. It's a way of processing information. It's a way of actually taking things in and doing and conducting projects and deep thinking. So yes, it could involve art, but it isn't the design that is directly related to art. It's more of a way of thinking. And it's a 4-year interdisciplinary pathway. So it combines your history, science, and English. And then specifically in the 9th grade year that I'm going to talk about right now. So if you hit one go there, thank you very much, Ben. It involves English and biology. So I teach the English 9 class. You have the option to take English 9 or English 9 honors in our pathway. That is a choice that you can make upon entering. And after a few weeks in, we start to ask students if they want to deepen their learning. And so taking honors is not a decision that you have to know right away. You can know it, but you can decide if it makes the most sense as you enter the pathway, and you can decide that semester by semester. We take on projects that are real world connected and applicable in English class. That is the goal. And I would say that as we move through projects that are collaborative in nature, it grows kind of both in deepening of connection, and deepening of real world application. All of our projects involve bringing in a panel. So that means that you present at the end to people in the real world that this project can and will impact, and that we connect. We begin all of our projects with what we call empathetic interviews, where we connect it to real people that this is going to impact, or that would have an understanding of the project that we're going to talk about. So we begin the year, we look at, we read some of the same things that happen outside of our pathway, but we also, I would say, have other pieces that are spliced in. So in our pathway, we begin with the Odyssey, and then we move into To Kill a Mockingbird. With that, as mentioned, we do some really awesome projects connected with StoryCorps and interviewing. And currently our students are doing service learning projects. We end the year with what's called the Dream Job Unit. And so we bring in people and we actually build a resume, they do job interviews, but it's based on the skill set that they've grown to learn. So really, I would say the core of what we're trying to do in ninth grade English is about growing the skills that will help them be most successful, not only in our pathway, in all of school, but in life, and helping them become great people. And that we want them to feel more connected to their community, connected to the world around them, connected to each other. And so we work really hard to do that. With that, I'm going to let Ms. Chick talk a little bit more about the connection to biology and her amazing class and all that she does in bio. Take it away, Ms. Chick.
Thank you so much, Steph. So as Ms. Rothstein has already mentioned, the big focus of our program is to allow students to be more interactive with their own learning. And we process this through things like the design thinking principles, applications to real world scenarios, and a lot of work within the community. In our biology classroom, this turns out as the form of really projects being at the root and the core of how we study biology. So you would have actually already met me yesterday. I'm our science department chair, and I have over numerous years taught all of our introductory freshman courses. What I really love about teaching LEAD is that it allows me and the students to really explore so much deeper into these concepts. My history before becoming a teacher was in the marine sciences and policy. And when I think about the real world applications of what does science actually look and feel like when scientists are doing work in a lab or out in the field or helping to write policy, what does that actually look like? And the LEAD pathway lets us do real science. It lets students take the helm basically and ask the real questions and do real research and write real reports, the same way that I have experienced and seen in a true scientific setting. And so that's kind of the reason I'm so enthralled with the LEAD pathway here. And what I've heard students comment on over the years is that also gives them a lot of leverage over controlling their own research, their own studies, their own education. Students really take the lead in LEAD. And I suspect a lot of the students are going to share stories of that in not just biology, but all of their courses, that it allows students to be in charge. And so when we teach biology through the lens of LEAD, I very much put the emphasis on what do the students want to learn about? What do the students need to learn about in order to answer these big questions? Those big questions cover everything from personal nutrition. How do we set and keep a healthy diet? How do we understand the mechanisms that drive interactions within ecosystems and amongst other species? And how do we protect and encourage those species to thrive on our planet with humans? We eventually build towards more complicated studies, things like biochemistry and the applications of genetics and evolution. Along the way, we do really fun projects. So this could be anything from building a model ecosystem meant to simulate those at the California Academy of Sciences, which we will hopefully get to do our early year field trip for. That's one of the highlights freshman year, is that usually we go to the California Academy of Sciences. I know a favorite project in the second semester for many students is the bioethics debate, wherein students research the current trends and the current issues in bioethics and hold a debate. So I will allow the students to tell you more stories about what fun things they get to do in biology. And I'll pass on to Ms. Peters here to tell you more about what's to come in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years.
Hi there. So I'll talk a little bit about 10th grade. I don't teach at the 10th grade level, but because we are an interdisciplinary teaching team, we do a lot of discussions where we share out, this is a project I'm thinking about doing in my classroom. What do you all think about this project? How can I make this project better? So even though, again, I'm not a 9th, 10th, or 12th grade teacher, we all work together as a teaching team. So at the 10th grade, the most typical courses that a 10th grader would take would be English 10, world history, and chemistry. So now at the 10th grade level, since there's no required 9th grade social studies course, at the 10th grade, they are required to take a social studies course. So now we have involved world history into our pathway. And the most interdisciplinary project that they do at the 10th grade is called the Celebration of the Elements. And all 3 teachers work together for the celebration of the elements. So in 10th grade, they're learning how to research and write research papers about an element. In chemistry, they are doing the scientific research about the element, its applications, the historical aspects of it. And then in world history, they would do something along the lines of how has this particular element impacted human civilization? So that's an example of an interdisciplinary project that's happening at the 10th grade. Also at the 10th grade, there is honors embedded for both English and world history. So one of the really nice parts, and this was a question in the Q&A that I noticed people asked about, are these courses separate? And for honors, if you are an English 10 honors student, you are in the same class, the same period as the English 10 regular student, but you are going at a much, much deeper level. We have some students who are going to talk about those honors options as well and what it has meant for them to have those honors options. At the 11th grade level, next slide. There we go. At the 11th grade level, the most typical classes that a student is going to take, and we should also mention that these are all college prep classes. So we're focusing on making sure the students have a rigorous and appropriate courses so that they are CSU and UC eligible. So at the 11th grade level, they're going to be taking some sort of English class. So then again, they can choose English 11 or English 11 honors embedded within that class, US history or US history honors, and then my course, which is physics. And one of the projects that it's been a little bit strange in COVID and remote teaching, but one of the things that that I worked with the English teacher this year was my students they built bridges, and part of the bridge project was also a fundraiser for an organization called Bridges to Prosperity, which builds bridges in third world countries. And so the students had to prepare a fundraising pitch, and in English, their English teacher also had them do some persuasive writing. So there's a small example of how we work interdisciplinary wise. At the 12th grade level, there is no required science class in order to be UC and CSU eligible. So there's not a science class. And now we have a required social studies class as part of our pathway. So in the 12th grade, there are only 2 courses within the LEAD pathway, English 12, English 12 honors, and government and econ or econ honors. So they can choose that. And that's a 1 semester of government, 1 semester of econ on their transcripts, which matches and aligns with what they would do if they were outside the pathway. This course sequence gives students many, many options to take AP courses outside at the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade levels. There are additional AP courses that students can take, and I think we're going to address that a little bit later. But I'm going to turn it back to Stephanie. I believe she's the next speaker, or are we on our student panel? I'm not.
I'm happy to go.
Okay.
And then,
okay.
Yeah, let's look at the next slide there. I am so happy to be introducing our students. I know that there were and there are many questions that are coming in, especially as we brought up things related to honors or AP. We are more than happy to have honors that's embedded within our pathway. And then, but AP, one second, I have a daughter that is wanting to join. So I'm going to move this over to our students that are going to answer our questions, and then we'll come back to the honors AP piece after that, because I think what's going to happen is they are going to hit at some of these and how it impacts them as students. And then if there's still more follow-up questions regarding that, we're more than happy to answer them. So Ms. Peters, do you mind just asking the first question, and then the students will chime in?
Sure, I was not prepared for this, so let me find what the first question is. I believe the first question is, what have you gained most from your experiences in LEAD? And our first speaker is going to be Justin Peck. Justin, are you ready?
Yes, hello, I'm Justin. I'm a senior. So over the past 4 years in the LEAD program, I've really gained the confidence to collaborate with other students. I really think that's the biggest thing. In middle school, I wasn't great working in groups. I'm sure this applies to a lot of you, but I was always the student that was doing all the work for all the projects, but part of that was my own fault. So I realized that I needed to make a change, and I decided to join the LEAD program. And so right from the beginning, I realized it was like a totally different experience. My teachers, Miss Chick and Miss Rothstein, they really helped our groups work through every step of the way. You know, whether that was creating a student contract at the beginning, learning how to have difficult discussions when, you know, a group member wasn't pulling their weight. And so, yeah, it really made a big difference for me. Since then, I've probably done 50 collaborative projects as a part of the LEAD program. Some of the other students will get into what their favorite projects were. But, you know, they really taught me collaboration and communication, how to be a good leader, but also how to be a good follower. That's really just as important. And so moving into the future, nearly every college that I'm applying to has they have an emphasis on hands-on learning and collaboration. So I know that the LEAD program has really helped me prepare well for that. And even beyond that, almost everything that you do as an adult relies on collaboration, whether that's doing research or developing new products at work or even in your own families. So through all my classes at the LEAD program, I've really gained the skills that have allowed me to work well with others. And so I've been able to create projects that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own.
Thank you so much, Justin. Brooke.
Hello, my name is Brooke, and I'm currently a junior, and I've been taking LEAD for all of my 3 years at high school so far. And I think that one aspect of LEAD that has really changed me is the public speaking and like speaking in front of the class. I used to be really shy and really terrified of public speaking. And when I first heard that there was a lot of getting in front of the class and talking, I was nervous. But the first day that we had a presentation, I remember like so clearly, it was in Miss Chick's class. The teachers made everybody feel really comfortable, and all the students were supporting everybody else, and it was just a really wholesome environment. And if like I guarantee, at least in my case, if you go into LEAD like by 10th grade or 11th grade, your fear of public speaking is completely gone. Like I feel 100% confident going up in front of like all of LEAD now and just talking about whatever, because LEAD has really helped me come out of my shell. And then also throughout LEAD, we learned how to like really research things in depth and go deeper, like not ask questions on the surface, like really get into the subjects that we're learning about. And we learn how to create really, really interesting projects and like really cool presentations and stuff like that. And it's really great because it transfers into all of your other classes. So everything you learn from LEAD is applicable in everything else that you do, especially like later on in jobs and things like that. But yeah, it's a really fun, supportive, happy family in LEAD.
Thank you so much, Brooke. Christina.
Hi guys, my name's Christina Hingle. I'm a junior. I made some notes, but now I've just, even what Brooke and Justin already said, there's so much more that comes to my mind. I think LEAD was freshman year was just such a great way to boost my confidence through just like the first semester of freshman year. I gained this family, this like really loving, supportive family that I still, have going into this junior year. And it's really helped me boost my confidence in public speaking and presenting things. And I look forward to every single LEAD class I've ever had. I seriously enjoy every single class now. I'm so close, even online, with the people in my classes and all of my teachers. I have really, really good relationships with. And I really know that those leadership skills, like what other kids have said, like are going to carry on with me out of high school and support me my whole life. And something else I wanted to add was I really love how there's so many different ways to demonstrate my knowledge and my understanding of something to my teachers. And so something interesting about this year is I'm taking an AP environmental science class, which is not LEAD. And in this one unit, I was getting A's on the lectures and homework and quizzes and everything. And then it comes to the test and I honestly failed it. And it was really difficult. And so something that I just love about LEAD is that there's so many options and that the teachers are so open to anything. So like, I don't know, writing a song or doing a presentation or in my history class last year, in that element project, my group and I did a whole skit and got our teacher in the skit about neon, and it was so fun. Another memory I have from my English class with Miss Rothstein was instead of a test, my group and I, we were really interested in elderly and dementia and stuff like that. And we prepared these little instruments for going to this elderly daycare. And we went and prepared some songs and got these little instruments, little maracas for the elderly to decorate. And we went there and they got to decorate their little maracas with stickers and pens. And then I had my ukulele and we played a ton of songs and it brought them so much joy. It brought me so much joy. And yeah, I'm just so grateful I decided to go into this program. It's really benefited me a lot. So I really suggest it for anyone who's thinking about it. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Christina. I have such fond memories of you doing that project and walking across the street over there. It was such a joy to witness. So thank you so much. And then last but not least for this question anyway is Prajeet. Take it away, Prajeet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Prajeet Mohan. I'm currently a senior at Los Gatos High School, and I have been in the LEAD program for all 4 years, and I have absolutely loved every single year of being in this program. The main thing that I've learned from being in this program is that I learned a lot about being able to collaborate with my peers and just publicly speaking to people. And being in middle school, I went to Fisher, and it was a very traditional pathway. At least that's what I thought. There were a lot of tests, reading books, and then writing essays about it. And in middle school, I also had a lot of social anxiety, and coming to LEAD, I was at first unsure. I was like, okay, is this the right program for me? I don't know if I'll be able to publicly speak, and I had some friends that were taking the program as well. So it's like, okay, might as well try it. And I tried it out and I absolutely loved freshman year. And yeah, LEAD is just very different. The program puts more emphasis on group projects, and you don't really do as many tests or writing essays as much as you did in middle school. And I also made a ton of new friends from this program, and from the students that were speaking in the video, I completely agree with them. It's like I've formed this kind of mini family, mini second family that I'm very fond of. And I would say that some of my most favorite projects have, in junior year, we did the bridge project where basically we would get these toothpicks or basically we had to collaborate with our peers on how we would build these bridges. And we would get limited amount of materials and time, and we had to build it the strongest as possible while also minimizing the amount of weight. And just doing that whole project was an amazing experience. Really collaborating with my peers, being able to draw out plans, and then just also having a little competition between groups. That was really fun. And yeah, and I also signed up for the U.S. History Honors option, which I was one of the first students to join that when they first introduced the History Honors option. And I felt like it was perfect for me because, I had a love for U.S. history, but I wasn't at the level to take an AP course, I felt like that was a lot to commit to. And U.S. History Honors was like the perfect neutral zone for me. It wasn't too hard, but not too easy. And I got my fair share of learning more history and more in depth of U.S. history. And I also got to take the AP exam at the end of the year. So that was really nice. And yeah, I just totally recommend signing up for LEAD.
Thank you so much, Prajit. As we transition, we're going to have some students now talking about some specific projects that they really enjoyed. And so we're going to transition to that question. I know we've been answering some questions directly in the Q&A. We'll continue to do that if you have more, and then we'll do kind of a round where we'll go through some of the more popular questions if some things don't come up naturally and when students are sharing. So our next question is, what have been some of your favorite projects, memories, and experiences from LEAD? So we'll move to the next slide so you get some fresh pictures there. And Molly's going to start us off with that one.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm a senior. I went to Fisher Middle School, and I think I have a couple of favorite projects, but I think my favorite, if not the most favorite project I had, was having to make an infomercial that ties into the Shakespeare play, Much Ado About Nothing. And surrounding that project, we were talking about what it takes to convince people and things like that. So we talked about ethos, pathos, logos. And if you've ever read or seen the play Much Ado About Nothing, it's kind of a constant theme throughout. And this is one of my favorite projects because of the amount of freedom and fun I got to have. I actually did this project with Josh, who's going to be speaking next. You can see a screenshot from our video on the right of the slide there. And basically, we had to make an infomercial of us trying to sell something to the people, to the characters in the play. So our idea, me and Josh, Josh's idea was we're going to market an invisible horse using ethos, pathos, and logos. And it was a fantastic project because it was just kind of out of there. It was out of nowhere. We're just going to do an invisible horse. And we went to our teacher. We asked him if we could do it. And he said, go right ahead. And it's one of my favorite projects we've ever done. And Prajit touched on it a while back, saying that he was one of the first students in English history honors, and I was one of the first students too. And the thing about history honors was that it was something that I got to collaborate with my teachers on, and that's a really strong point in LEAD. The fact that you gain and make such close relationships with your teachers is something that I really value, and it's I kind of realized that's what I wanted, and kind of it's shaped how I've wanted to go to colleges and what I looked for in colleges.
Sorry, forgot to unmute. Thank you so much, Molly. And happy to share our seniors maybe after you can talk about, I know Molly had some exciting information she just learned. Do you want to share, do you mind sharing just a little bit about what you mentioned in that application process, how it how it impacted you a little bit, Molly? I think people might be interested in that. Do you mind sharing that?
Oh, yes. So when it comes to applying for college, I know a question that I get a lot because I've done 8th grade info night for 4 years now, is that how it will look on college transcripts and college applications. And for the first time ever, I can give you firsthand knowledge exactly what's happened. So I applied early admission and got accepted into the college I wanted. And when I went into my application, on your actual transcript, it'll just show up as a normal class. But something I kind of discovered was that colleges love to hear about LEAD and how it's impacted you as a student, and what it's about exactly when it comes to hands-on projects, working with peers. I actually, the college that I did get into, it's a research college where I get funding from the college to do research. And that's something I discovered that I really like doing when I was in 9th grade doing the service learning project that our next student participants will talk about.
Thank you so much, Molly. And I promise we'll continue to get to some of those Q&A questions are getting answered, but we'll continue to address them. So our next student to talk is going to be Joshua.
Hi, I'm Joshua. I'm a senior as well. Okay, favorite memories. I think Christina and Prajeet hit it real on the mark when they said that LEAD is a family. And you really don't even realize how close you are until you've been together for like years and you realize, shoot, I don't have this kind of relationship with literally anyone in the school between the teachers and the other students. And so that's just insane. And especially in junior year of physics with Miss Peters, oh my gosh, we went on so many field trips. And not only were those field trips like just so hands-on, right? We got to see things in these places that had years of history behind them, and there's so much to learn. But just the process of going to these places with the people that you love so much and screaming. Okay, Miss Peters was usually our van driver for my little group of LEAD kids as we would go to these places like the Chabot Center, which you could actually see right there on the left. And on the way there, we would just sing any songs that came to mind. So, there'd be some points where we're just screaming Bohemian Rhapsody in the back of the van, and Miss Peters is just up in the front, like, what's happening? And so just things like that, you just feel so much closer than you do with anyone else. Another project that I just absolutely adored was basically, so we learned, everything about like astronomy and the Earth and the moon and the sun with Miss Peters. And then the project was, okay, take everything you learned and go teach it to the 5th graders at Van Meter. It's like amazing. Best, like one of my favorite projects, just because, the chance to pass on what you learn is, I think, so much more of a learning experience than just learning it in the first place. But you might be saying, okay, sure, all these in-class projects sound interesting, and these teachers come up with some cool things, but is there any actual practical use during high school outside of LEAD? Well, absolutely. So over the summer in 2020, completely disconnected from the LEAD program or the LEAD teachers, I decided, okay, we need to make a peer-to-peer organization that addresses mental health. So I kind of rounded up the people I knew best, which were the LEAD students. And I said, hey guys, you guys want to work together on this thing? And so now Cats to Cats is a peer-to-peer organization at Los Gatos, and it's comprised about a third or to one half of the team are in LEAD. And I could have never done it without what I learned from LEAD. So it's just, you learn so much and you get to know so many people so well.
Thank you so much, Joshua. I'm so proud of all that you've been doing. That's amazing. Kayla, who was in our video today, so we get to see Kayla twice. Welcome, Kayla.
Hi, I'm Kayla O'Malley. I was in the video. That was back in 9th grade. I'm a junior now. I've taken LEAD almost 3 years. I plan to take it senior year as well. So my favorite memories, this was also mentioned in the video. It's a very satisfying project. It was the service learning project, and it's just a really great opportunity for you and your group to choose an organization that you all really care about, and you get to contribute it, and it's just very fulfilling and satisfying. And Christina mentioned hers. From my group, we went to Animal Assisted Happiness, and we got to like help out, like do farm chores, you know. It was just a very bonding, like giving project, and it was really fun to do. It was very satisfying and fulfilling. Another one with Miss Chick's class, 9th grade, we went on a field trip to the Cal Academy Museum, I think, and it was really fun. We got to do a scavenger hunt. I actually volunteered again last year, 10th grade, to help out. And yeah, it's just really fun. It was another way to connect with everyone. And you know, yeah, it was just really, really, really nice. And you don't go on field trips in other classes, like especially not in Fisher in middle school, there's no field trip. So it was nice to be able to go out somewhere for once, like during school. It's nice. And so, but really just like any projects at all that you work on with lead students, they're all just so much fun because as everyone has said, like we're really like a family, just like a big like group of friends, you know, everybody knows everybody. So like even if you're in separate classes, like you still you know each other because you're all in lead. And throughout the years you get really close with everyone. And you know, your presentations they're really nerve-wracking, but you just it's so much easier when you're performing or presenting in front of a group of friends that you know. And everyone has to do it, so it's really like not stressful at all. But yeah, just like any project at all. We usually do projects instead of tests, like Christina mentioned. So there's different, different, like instead of tests, if you don't learn well with tests, you get to do projects. And it's really, really fun to be able to collaborate with people that you know. And that is most definitely a skill that you use outside of high school. So yeah, just join lead. We're all really close and it's fun. So
thank you
for
much.
listening.
Thank you, Kayla. And one thing I'll tack on to what Kayla said, I know that there have been a lot of questions. Some of the things that maybe students don't realize, maybe because I think the way that it is presented in classes, like students even though you don't realize it, like you do what we would call in teacher talk assessments. Like we do assess you. It might just look or feel different, or the order in which we do it might be different. You do still have some tests, and you do still do lots of writing. You actually do a ton of writing. I would argue sometimes even more, but maybe the kind of writing that you're doing or what you're doing it for might feel different. And so for some students, right, like maybe they're doing blog posts, or maybe they're writing something that then is a script that then they perform, right? So there is a lot that is in there. It is project-based. They are still prepared for how to have this skill. They do have other classes still outside of the pathway. So before I go off on my tangent there, I'm going to let Anna chime in. But I just want to let you all know that what I love is that I think that students don't sometimes think about it in the same way that maybe many of us process, like, what is school? And they really are deepening their learning and their understanding. And so maybe it doesn't necessarily feel like a test or an assessment, but they're graded on rubrics all the time, and they're doing performance-based assessments along with other pieces that provide information for us to give them feedback. So Anna, take it away. You're our last student speaker, and then our students will stay on if there are other questions as we continue. Go right ahead, Anna.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna and I'm a sophomore this year. And one of the projects that I wanted to expand upon a little bit from what Kayla said about it was the 9th grade service learning project. So as she said, you get to choose a topic that you're passionate about. So it could be like poverty or the environment or animal welfare. And there's 3 main parts of this project. So you read books on your topic, and then you actually get to write a real research paper. And then finally you can volunteer in the community, which was my favorite part. So I chose climate change as my topic because I felt that there's a lot of work to be done in this area. And I actually got to volunteer with my group 2 or 3 times at a place called Our City Forest, which is an organization that plants trees and does landscaping for public places. And unfortunately, we weren't able to volunteer as much as we had hoped because of the COVID shutdown. But from what we did do, I learned a lot about the environment, and which helped me to write a really detailed research paper. So yeah, this was just a really interesting and rewarding experience because not only were we able to develop a plan to make change, but actually be able to carry it out by volunteering, which I think is really unique from other classes at this high school. And then one other thing I wanted to address was, I know some people were worried about being able to take like tests and being prepared for classes in the future. And we actually still do take a few tests every once in a while, but honestly, for me, that was the easy part because of all of these presentations and projects that we have been doing. It's so easy to learn the information quickly rather than just studying out of a textbook like some other classes.
Thank you so much, Anna. I do think that one of the things that I am most proud of is like how much students take their learning personally. It's meaningful, right? The idea is that it's connected to themselves, to their group mates, to the world around them, and that they care about what they're studying. And that then hopefully leads to what Anna was talking about, where when they go to be assessed on something, they're like, oh, of course I know this because I lived it, I learned it, I did something with it, right? That is the goal. So take it away to the next slide, please, Ben. One of the things that is in, there's a few more pictures that you can look at. And then the slide after this one is something for after here. You are more than welcome to, if you've never used Flipgrid, if you are in middle school, you can scan these. And these are some of our current ninth graders. We didn't want the panel to go too long, but talking about what it's been like for them this year, being that this year, I know for you in 8th grade, obviously has looked different than school. And we wanted to have our panelists be some of our students that had been in LEAD for what we have always envisioned it to be, but I am proud to say that the LEAD pathway that we have had, even while not being able to be together in person, still feels like a family, a community, and a really connected space. And a few of the things that I'm really proud to share, we had students this year so there were questions around how honors works, and honors is a part of the class that you're already taking. So if you're in English or if you're in biology, you can choose to deepen it by pursuing honors. And what that essentially means is that you might have a few more requirements on each project that you do. And then there'll be some additional options or additional pieces or projects that you need to do on top of what everyone else is doing. We might have some separate honors meetings or honors sessions that you attend. And in my class in English anyway, part of those options are around becoming a true leader in the LEAD community. So it might be participating in events like this. It might be creating some community events for our own students to attend and supporting other students in some way. So our current 9th grade students really took that to heart. We had students this year that have probably, it's like the most creative of options that I've ever seen for some of our honors projects. We have a student that has created a debate club. We had a cooking group that was created, and the food was connected to things that we were reading in our class. It's so interesting. I've loved it. I've attended. We had other people creating spaces for students to mix and mingle. And I would say almost as like a miniature version of what then goes into what Josh then created later on. That was a bigger school-wide pursuit. We had some students that work to create a book club on their own. So they have created some pieces that we didn't tell them that's what they needed to or had to do, but they saw a need. Students are coming together on their own because they want that community. And it really has changed the way that we interact with one another. And it deepens the learning that we have. So students, I am proud to say that our students, they helped and lift one another up. They care about their classmates. Even today in my 9th grade English class, I had a student that when we were making groups said, can you put me in a separate meet? I want to catch up this person. He had to be absent last class. And I would say that is the kind of skill set that is true when I look at a LEAD student. They care about the people that they are seated with in a team. and it begins to happen very early on. And I'm happy, I would say some of them come in with that, but I do think it's a skill that grows, that they really learn that we can all get better and we can help one another get better. We learn how to give feedback. We learn how to be open to that. And I think all of those skills, those communication skills, help them in all of their areas of all of their other classes. So some of the things in terms of grading, and then I'm happy to go through some of the questions and let other people talk, so I'm not dominating here. But there are 5 grading categories in LEAD. I know that we had a question around that. So the grading categories are knowledge and thinking, written communication, oral communication, collaboration, and agency. And we have rubrics for all of them. We have college readiness assessment rubrics that go with them. There's a great deal of research that goes around project-based learning, as well as performance-based assessments, and how much it prepares students for life beyond high school and in college and beyond that, and how it actually helps students to, like it helps with students being able to retain what they're learning and continue on. And when they're in college, being able to be resilient, know who to ask questions to. I would say our students are true leaders. They know how to ask and think for themselves, and they know how to seek out information. And if they don't understand something, they know how to ask about it. And it's part of what we build in the pathway. So I just want to go through, and if there were any, there is one question that's here. There were some questions around asking kind of what's the difference maybe between like what might be if people are making a choice, obviously, between regular English 9 and biology and then having our LEAD classes, like. And so I would say for any of our panelists, does anybody want to address that? I know you did not necessarily take classes outside of the pathway, at least for those, but can anyone address that maybe with friends who've taken classes outside? What might be the differences that you have seen between regular, if they're trying to choose between the two?
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of friends who have taken, for example, regular English for all 4 years, right? And you hear the same thing every time. Oh, we're doing vocab tests, or we're doing these essays, or just we're doing these assigned readings and stuff. And I look at them and I'm like, okay, but over here we're trying to, I mean, in essence, like the essence of every project is kind of design a better world. Like the whole philosophy is that we need to apply what we're learning right now, not just later. And so, I mean, that's what I'd say is the fundamental difference. And it's just, I think personally, at least a lot more fun, because you get to learn things that you want to learn, and you get to do things with people that you wouldn't necessarily get to do otherwise.
Thank you, Josh. I couldn't agree more. And so with that, I know it is now 5:56. I want to keep us to our time here. On the next slide, has a little bit more information, Ben. So the next slide, if you have more questions, or I should say, if you want to be connected with any of the students that you saw here, any of the students in the Flipgrid, any of our students or our staff, we encourage you to fill out. This is a form that just says, yes, please connect me with someone who can answer some more questions for me, and can be a real person that I can connect with. So we are more than happy to do that. So that's what this form is, which is different from the application. This one will also asks, like, do you want us to remind you when the application is due? So if you'd like to get on our list to then remind you so that you don't miss the deadline for anything, go ahead and fill out this Google form that is here. On the slide after this one, this slide is the actual application itself. So if you've heard enough and you feel great and you want to fill out your application, applications are due by March 1st. So, so please make sure that you turn that in. And I know that we had some questions around amount of people and what we take. So this year we had 3 classes. all of these things are dependent on what we are able to build for as a school. We would love to have as many people as we can in our pathway, and we will see what we can accommodate. When it gets beyond that, we do have a waiting list usually. So in years past, we had, for all of these students, we had 2 classes at the freshman level. And this last year, I'm happy to say that we were able to expand and have a third section. So we have 3 this year. And so we'll have to see what numbers are and staffing and all of those pieces, but we are really happy that our pathway has grown and continues to grow. So our application is here. The deadline is March 1st. And then we notify people in April so that you understand that. You don't have to know if you're pursuing honors or not prior to signing up, but you do need to be knowing that you are coming in to take English 9 and biology. That really is the only requirement, is that you are signing up for those 2 courses in the freshman year. And then all of your other courses that you would take outside, you still take outside of the LEAD pathway. We try in our schedule to have all of our LEAD classes on a day, if it is possible. We try depending on the year, and that allows us, especially when we're in person, to do things like field trips so that we can move and it doesn't impact the other courses outside of the pathway. So that's one of the benefits. We call it the wheel model. So with that, I'll just see if there are any other last questions. Oh, if you can edit your application after, that's a great question. If there's anything that you need to fix, feel free to email us directly. You could email at lead@, and I'll put the email in lead@lgsuhsd. I'll put it in the chat.org, and we can go in and amend anything if you need to, or if you need to fill it out a second time, you're more than welcome to. But those are pieces. Thank you so much. Ms. Peters put it in the chat for you. Go ahead and email that. We get those directly, and if you want us to make a specific change, if you mistyped something, want to let us know, we will let you know that. So within our path, I just saw one question. Biology is the science course that is an option within our LEAD pathway. So earth-space science is outside of LEAD. And so that would be kind of the one piece to really keep in mind. And then if you, if LEAD maybe in the 9th grade isn't the right spot for you, people can come in at later grade levels. If there is room, we are happy to have you if there's openings at that point. And if there are any other questions, we're happy to stay for just a few minutes, but you are more than welcome to email if there's anything else. And you should have access to the presentation. Oh, you're being thanked if you didn't see it, panelists. Great job, students. I'm sorry I started talking. I get so excited at the end there. But if any of our students want to say anything or say bye or any other words. We also have Ms. Grasty here, one of our vice principal who helps support us. So thanks for being here, Ms. Grasty.
You're welcome. I've been with this team of teachers from the start when we first dreamed of creating a unique project-based learning pathway that would create a community and a family spirit, and where kids would work together and be creative and ask questions to drive projects. So it's just a beautiful thing to see it thriving and surviving, and we're happy that so many of you attended, and we can't wait to see you in person and hope you'll be encouraged to sign up for LEAD.
There was a great question about, do we accept everyone that applies? So one of the things is we're a public high school, and so we would love to have anyone that wants this pathway. We are restricted sometimes just by numbers. So it isn't anything that you put in the application that would alter that, as long as you're coming in and taking English and biology. If we go beyond our capacity, then we have to have a wait list, and then we have to be equitable in the way that we then figure out who is in that. So those are the only pieces. It isn't that we want everyone that wants to be in our pathway. If we can make that happen, we try to make that happen, and we work really hard to try to do that. But sometimes numbers get in our way. So we will figure our very best. We will look at all of our applications. If it's in by the deadline, it helps us to know and helps as a school to plan accordingly. At the moment, I think we have the capacity, hopefully, to have 3 courses, but I can't stamp anything until I know for sure what our schedule will be for next year. Am I speaking okay, Ms. Grasty? Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't say anything that was out of line.
Yeah, that sounds all right to me. And then there's a question about what percentage and how many people apply. And I would just say it tends to be about 10 to 15%, sometimes a little higher. given the year. And sometimes our student population varies. So like if our incoming class is 500 kids, you expect to have about, maybe, a certain percentage, but we generally have 3 classes filled each grade. In some of the smaller years, we've had 2. So we tend to have class sizes roughly 30 to 1 all over the school. So we try to keep to that. What's really hard is if you have a weird in-between number. And that's when we have to go by who got their applications in on time. But we generally try to accommodate as many kids who want to be in lead. And a few times we've had students have to wait till the following year. So we recommend, if this sounds like something for you, if you can get your application in by the deadline, you have some time. So don't worry about that. And we will do our best to accommodate you. And we really hope if you're interested, if this sounds interesting to you, that you apply.
And I'm proud to say we have continued to grow in each of the years. And then the other piece that I think warms my heart is that we tend to have a lot of students who they have an older sibling that did it. Like we grow with families. I think people who are in lead know the beauty of it. And I often feel like it's like the untapped secret sauce of the school. Like it's a beautiful place to be. So I feel quite lucky to be teaching in it and a part of it and with all of these awesome people. And we would be happy to have you. So please apply. And if you have questions, fill out any of those forms and we will be in contact with you and happy to connect you with anybody that can provide a more personal response and answer for you. Anyone else before we officially close and say bye? Bye from lead. I know we should, if we were in person, we would do a Friday clap for you, but you'll learn that once you're at school. Okay. Bye, everybody. I know Josh is already doing it. Bye all. Thanks for joining.